Venice Beach, California.
Without a doubt, the most popular athlete to ever compete on WCW.
This is Sting!
Just caught on. The paint, the charisma.
You are gonna love this just as much as I am. Woo!
An all-American boy that you wanted to get behind.
A new heavyweight champion of the world.
Sting was the WCW brand through and through.
Charisma and power and athleticism.
He's the perfect choice to be the first man inducted to the TNA Hall of Fame.
Oh my God! It's Sting!
The Stinger is here on AEW.
He is the forever hero, simply known as the man called Sting.
In a business built on egos, money, and constant reinvention, very few wrestlers ever became legends because of their loyalty. Even fewer became icons because they stood alone. And one man in wrestling history managed to become a myth without ever needing WWE to define him. That man is Sting. For over 4 decades, Sting built a career based on mystery, silence, loyalty, and an unbreakable connection to the fans. He survived every era, every war, every reinvention the wrestling world threw at him. He fought Hulk Hogan, Ric Flair, Goldberg, Triple H, Seth Rollins. He was the face of WCW, the savior of TNA, and the final legend to ever walk away on his own terms. This is the story of Sting, the surfer, the crow, the icon, and the man who refused to sell out. Before becoming Sting, he was just Steve Borden, a young bodybuilder from California who didn't grow up watching wrestling. Wrestling wasn't exactly his dream. It was an accident. In 1985, he was discovered along with Jim Hellwick, and this is a wrestler who later became the famous Ultimate Warrior. The two formed a tag team called the Blade Runners, a wild, face-painted powerhouse duo full of intensity but limited experience. They had the body to show off, but they didn't necessarily do anything in the ring. The Ultimate Warrior eventually left for the WWF, and Steve Borden had to find himself. And that's when the magic happened. WCW saw something in him, the charisma, the athleticism, the marketability, and they rebranded him as Sting. Bright neon face paint, bleach blonde hair, surfer attitude, and explosive energy. Fans fell in love pretty fast. Sting wasn't just popular, he became the future star the moment that he stepped into the ring with Ric Flair in 1988. Their clash for the NWA World title went for 45 minutes. It ended in a draw, but what matters was this. Ric Flair said it publicly that Sting was the guy to carry wrestling into the next generation, and he was right.
He's the best. He's one of the best people I've ever met in my life.
Sting became the face of WCW during a time when Hulk Hogan and the WWF were dominating the world. Whenever fans thought WCW was losing momentum, Sting was the force that kept them believing.
This new golden boy.
Sting is ready. He is ready for any and all comers.
I can think of only one better way to have fun. That's doing what I just did to the very best.
But the wrestling world was about to change forever, and so would Sting. In 1996, wrestling entered the most explosive era in its history. It was the Monday Night Wars. The New World Order was born, and Scott Hall and Kevin Nash jumped from the WWF to the WCW. And Hulk Hogan shocked the world by joining the alliance and turning heel in front of millions of fans. The NWO was destroying WCW from the inside. Fans chanted, "NWO, the heroes were gone." WCW was officially out of control, and Sting vanished for months and nobody saw him. There was no face paint, no bright colors, no interviews. Then the lights went dark. A crow cawed through the arena. A figure descended from the rafters wearing black and white face paint, a trench coat, and it was silence.
This is eerie.
There's Sting up in the rafters not saying anything.
He kind of went dark on everybody. He went mysterious, you know.
You'd have his baseball bat and his just long trench coat and his face painted black and white.
The Crow Sting was born, and it changed wrestling forever. He didn't speak for over a year, not one promo, not one interview. He just appeared, stared into the camera, and vanished like a ghost. And the crowd lost their minds every single time. For the first time in wrestling history, silence became louder than any microphone. Every week, fans prayed that Sting would strike the NWO. Every single week, they watched WCW burn while one man who could save them kept waiting. Finally, in December of 1997, Sting faced Hollywood Hulk Hogan in one of the most anticipated matches ever. The storyline had been built for over a year. It was slow, it was emotional, and it was perfect. And then, WCW did what they always did. They ruined it. A botched ending, a bad finish, and a horrible backstage mix of politics killed what should have been wrestling's greatest payoff. But despite that disaster, fans stayed loyal to Sting because they believed in him more than they ever believed in WCW. The war continued, the NWO splintered, WCW collapsed financially, and Sting watched everything that he built fall apart. But unlike so many others, he refused to jump over to the WWE. He refused to cross the battlefield when the war was over. For Sting, loyalty mattered more than money. While everyone from WCW ran to WWE for paychecks, Sting did the opposite. He disappeared for 2 years, convinced that his career was kind of over. Then, in 2003, a new company emerged. It was called TNA Wrestling, total non-stop action. They wanted Sting more than anyone, and eventually he agreed to return, and he was now better than ever. Sting became the veteran general, helping to build stars like AJ Styles, Samoa Joe, and even Abyss. His matches were physical, emotional, and deeply personal. And let's not even get started on his matches with Kurt Angle, Christian Cage, and Jeff Jarrett. He was just in the zone. He wasn't just passing time, he was elevating the next generation and taking the current generation and making them look better than ever. From joining the company through to the late 2000s, Sting wasn't just another name on the TNA roster, he became its foundation. At a time when the company was fighting for legitimacy and kind of competing against the WWE, Sting was the face that fans trusted. He wasn't there for a final paycheck or a nostalgia run, which is kind of what we saw from so many wrestlers that came into TNA. But he was there because he just loved the business. He wrestled a full schedule, he headlined pay-per-views, and he carried the company through its most fragile years. Sting's rivalries with Jeff Jarrett, Abyss, Samoa Joe, Kurt Angle, that is what defined the era of TNA. He won the NWA World Heavyweight Championship multiple times. More importantly, Sting became TNA's moral center. While chaos, politics, and power struggles was swirling around the company, Sting always positioned himself as the one constant. You always knew what you were going to get out of Sting. The locker room leader, standing against corruption, shortcuts, and the big, massive egos that came through the door at TNA. In a company that was still finding its identity, Sting gave TNA credibility that it needed. And by the end of the decade, Sting had nothing left to prove, but he was still putting on great matches, putting great wrestlers over, and that is just what made him into the great legend that he is. In 2011, Sting reinvented himself yet again, this time as the Joker-inspired Wild Card, a chaotic version of his character that shocked the wrestling world. It was risky, it was strange, it was kind of weird, but it all worked. Every wrestler in the arena for over 20 years had reinvented themselves out of desperation. But when Sting did it, he kind of did it out of creativity.
I got a poker table here for crying out loud. I see things coming out a whole lot different than you do tonight, Eric. To bring the company back to its rightful owner. Don't push it any farther.
While legends retired and faded away or broke down physically, Sting always kept going, and fans kept asking one question: will Sting ever wrestle in the WWE? For over a decade, he refused, not because he hated the WWE, but because he didn't want his legacy controlled by the WWE. He didn't want to just be another trophy. And eventually, though, he realized something. If I don't go now, it will never happen. In 2014, Sting finally walked into the WWE for the first time in his career. The crowd exploded like a bomb. People cried, signs filled the arena. Thank you, Sting. And finally, his first WrestleMania match came against Triple H. Not the match that fans wanted at the time, because many fans, and I think you'd agree, if you agree, drop your comments down below, that many fans wanted to see Sting go up against The Undertaker. But we didn't get it. We got him up against Triple H. It was a symbolic moment, nonetheless. It was a tribute to an entire era. Then came the tragedy. During a match with Seth Rollins in 2015, Sting suffered a severe injury that temporarily stopped his career.
Ground that I care about and idolize, and they're suffering and they're scared. And that's a terrifying feeling.
Is he okay? How is he doing? What's wrong? Sting is not okay.
Please don't let it end like this. And said, man, you're this close to having a catastrophe.
Doctors warned him that he could never wrestle again. He retired and he was inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame. But deep inside, Sting didn't feel finished. Then AEW happened. In 2020, at the age of 61 years old, Sting returned to wrestling and he shocked the entire world. He didn't do it for a paycheck, not as a nostalgia act, but because he still loved the business.
No, thank you. Thank you.
Here we go.
Here we go.
Sting's kind of going on his terms. It's a proper send-off, recognition of a job well done.
It's just in my blood, I guess.
You are an example of how to be in a very cutthroat industry.
This is my moment. I want to share it with you.
And incredibly, he knew that he had something to offer. He didn't just wrestle. He performed in violent, high-risk emotional matches in his 60s, teaming up with Darby Allin, mentoring the future of wrestling, and moving like a man that was half his age. Sting's final match came in March of 2024. It was glass, it was tables, it was ladders, it was all chaos, and it was a goodbye that was more like a war, but it was one of the greatest goodbyes we could have ever asked for. When it was all over, Sting stood in the center of the ring, exhausted, emotional, broken, and proud.
You know what? I'm kind of old now, but I'm still a risk taker.
There was no controversies, no scandals, no bitterness, just pure respect. He retired on his own terms, the last warrior standing from an era of giants. Sting's story is not about championships or fame. It's about loyalty. It's about reinvention. It's about surviving every single storm without losing yourself. Some wrestlers become greats because of titles. Some become greats because they sell out arenas. Sting became great because millions of people trusted him. He didn't scream. He didn't need to beg for cheers. He didn't even need the biggest company in the world to validate him. He earned his legacy with silence, mystery, integrity, and the purest art of being cool. He never sold out, he never quit, he never outlived an era. That's why Sting isn't just a legend. He is the last icon. So guys, now the question comes over to you. Where does Sting rank among the greatest wrestlers of all time? Is he the most respected wrestler to ever live? Is he one of the GOATs of wrestling? And is he on your Mount Rushmore? Whether you're a WWE fan, a TNA fan, a WCW fan, or just a wrestling fan in general, you have to admit, Sting was pretty cool. But guys, I want you to let me know, guys. And also, if you want us to do another video on another wrestler, drop your person down in the comments down below, guys. And also don't forget to give us a like and subscribe and turn on those bell notifications so that you never miss another upload. And check out the videos that are popping up on the screen right now. And I will catch you on the next one.